Kennedy, it's so great to see you. I got so many great memories of working with you at MTV and spending time with you, and always loved you, and just you know what a huge fan of yours I am. So, and I remain and always have been. So what a pleasure to get to be here with you today. I'm just so excited to be here.
So
I've been thinking about you.
I've been thinking about you so much over the last few months because I know that you've had some real health emergencies, and something that you had posted on social media before Ozzy's passing was when you had a stroke and you were in ICU and you were in a coma. We were worried that you weren't going to pull through, and it was a really terrifying time. And a lot of your good friends at MTV, we were all talking to each other. We had text threads open, just trying to get any information that we could. And our old boss, Andy Schoen, was really leading the way, giving us information, visiting you, talking with your family. And you made a miraculous recovery. And part of that was because of a gift that Ozzy Osbourne had given you when you were in the hospital. Tell us what that was.
Well, it was a beautiful gift from Ozzy. I'd found out that Ozzy, once I came out of the coma, it's kind of crazy. I obviously had this stroke. I was at a drummer's house, a rock and roll drummer who was, pretty well known. I was there helping him, with some stuff that, he wanted to, just some music help with some stuff online. And I told him I didn't feel well. I said, man, I feel kind of strange. And, and then basically, I got on a couch and eventually ended up getting, an ambulance, EMS, to the hospital. But, they were, as you know, because Kennedy, you were talking to Andy and everybody was staying in touch with you, most people did not expect me to survive. I mean, the medical professionals at the hospital in Los Angeles were saying, it's doubtful he's going to make it. I mean, they tell my daughters that. I have 2 adult daughters, and it's heartbreaking to think that when you're in a coma that your daughters will get that kind of news, you know what I mean, about the fact that, you're probably not going to make it. And it just broke my heart when I came out of the coma and I, was like, what happened, and what so it was just, it's a beautiful thing. It's an amazing gift to be alive. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm grateful for all the prayers, a lot of prayers, man. There was a massive collection of people praying, and I thought that was a very important and powerful thing. So when they didn't expect me to come out of this coma, because I during that time I also got MRSA pneumonia, so in the hospital. And I know the odds of living through MRSA pneumonia are anywhere from 15 to 30% or something like that.
Goodness, Matt.
So they did not expect me to live, and I was on a ventilator there, and I didn't know any of this until I came out of the coma. And of course, I came out talking about rock and roll. Of course, of course, that was the thing. They were like, I can't believe he's talking, but he has his memory. So I was very grateful. But to answer your question about the Ozzy thing, Ozzy and I have always had a great relationship, and with the whole Osborne family. But he and I had a friendship that, really started in the 90s, even though I was a fan when I was a little kid in the 70s. And then all through, the years. So he found out that I had the stroke, and he literally went into his personal collection of canes. And all of a sudden I got this box that was shipped to me, and it was this, and it's Ozzy's cane with his name on it. It's gold plated. It's like engraved in gold. It was just, I couldn't believe that, he thought that much that and I loved it. I mean, it was just a beautiful gift. But we've always gotten along so well. And he and I have always had these conversations about how much we love music and we love rock and roll. And, his favorite band of all time is the Beatles, but he also loves, all rock. He's a big Peter Gabriel fan. I mean, I was making an Ozfest live album with him when I was at Columbia Records. I was a vice president at Columbia Records for a while, and I remember there were so many Osbourne's products out, Kennedy, during the height of the TV show, that I was at Columbia, so they were on Epic, but they were all of a sudden all the executives called me in, the big ones, and went, "Hey Matt, you think you want to make this Ozfest live album, because Epic's pretty maxed out on Osbourne. We got an Ozzy double live album, we got a Kelly record, we got all this." And I said, "I'm going to make that record." So I made the record with Ozzy and all the other bands that were ended up on it. But it was, we've always had a great relationship and a friendship, and it's a mutual love of music and rock and roll that I think is the thing that's brought us together. And we've, we would have these deep conversations about music and since the 1990s, and that's, It's just, I can't believe it's that many decades. So that was not only one of the most beautiful gifts, I was so absolutely moved by it because I was told by Sharon and Michael and people that Ozzy was so upset when he found out about the stroke that he to do that was just, that shows the kind of heart that he had, and what a beautiful thing to do.
And what a caring person, because he has been through so much, and he has had, God rest his soul, but he has had his own health challenges, and he obviously cares about you so much he didn't want you to suffer like he had been suffering. And, he wanted you to have something personal and amazing. When was the last time you spoke to him?
Last time I spoke to Ozzy, it had been a couple of years, like where we had a really good conversation, because I had done, some stuff for Sharon too, for she and Sharon, just a couple of years back. So we talked then, but like I said, we were always tight. And then I did might have been 4 or 5 years ago, I did the 40th anniversary special for Blizzard of Oz, his first solo album. So when it came time to do that, they asked me to do it, Ozzy and Sharon. So I did that for them. We did this big special, the re-airing it in Los Angeles on the radio here, but it was on all over the country when it was done. But and we've stayed in touch through friends. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I think it's gotta be like the last time we talked was around the time that his last solo album came out, produced by Andrew Watt, the guys who worked with Pearl Jam and the Stones, and kind of brought Ozzy back in a big way with a lot of our mutual friends, people you and I know, like Duff from Guns N' Roses and Chad from the Chili Peppers and, all those guys. So, I went to the listening party for that. And, I've just always supported Ozzy for years. But the friend, it was the act of kindness and the note that I got from him about this, like, the word had come back, and I just got this note that said, we got to keep the people that we love alive and support those who still fly the flag for music and rock and roll. So, and that was a beautiful thing.
Before you got to MTV, every band knew Matt Pinfield. And, through media and the record industry, you are one of the most consistent people that I have ever seen in any subject, and music continues to feed you. And Ozzy was the same way. Like, he was continuously inspired, and then he went on to have like a fifth act in reality TV.
Yes, he did, which is amazing. And it really speaks a lot about the kind of heart that he had. Again, starting from those, coming from that working class and working so hard, and then touring and just giving his all to everything that he did. And, I can honestly tell you, he loved his kids so much. And he loved Sharon, he really loved them. And he loved friends like me. It's funny that Mike Inez, who played bass for him and plays for, is in Alice in Chains. And he would always say to me, he goes, Ozzy loves you so much. I'm like, I remember when I was down at those rehearsals with you guys. I go, do you know how much that means to me? Because obviously, having loved, Sabbath since I was 8 or 9, and I discovered it in the neighborhood, and you play out in your neighborhood, everybody out riding their bikes. Somebody's older brother would have me playing Sabbath in the garage, it would be something like that. But it's an incredible thing. I feel very, very grateful to be alive, and I just have to say it again. All the people, the collective prayer of people, just blew me away. And it meant so much, and I believe it's so powerful, the power of prayer. And that people, were like, I think it was that there's a beauty to that. And people and the music were the things that have always driven me, and I'm super grateful. And so to have had a relationship and friendship with Ozzy is really, to me, it was a beautiful gift, like so many other things, Kennedy, I got to say, hey, look, like our friendship, you and we were in England together. We were doing all kinds. When we were doing the MTV years, I have great memories of you and I. We're like, we were just over there in England. We're like, hey, what is? I remember when we were checking out. We're like, hey, all the candy's different here. We were still young. We didn't, It
was before Amazon. It was before the internet. Like, we went to the Reading Festival in 1995, and it was like stuff we had never seen. And so Matt and I are like, let's get everything.
We did. We actually got Kenny. We were right next to each other in our hotel rooms, and we went. Let's just buy them all. And then we went there. We were actually split all these candy bars. I mean, our sugar levels must have been off the charts.
Thank God we didn't have glucose monitors then.
In fact, absolutely. It's incredible. But it was so much fun. It reminds me of so many laughs and great times I had with you, and always. So I love you dearly, and you know that. So I'm grateful for that. I really am, and it was very nice of you. And you mentioned me in your book too. I thought that was beautiful. I want to thank you.
And well,
for that,
you're such a good person, and you're an example of find something you love and dedicate your life to it. And you have brought so many people joy. And, this conversation about Ozzy is full circle because you're a dad. You love your kids. You are inspired by music. You bring the love of music to people. And that's all an artist like Ozzy could ever want is, to move people, to take them to an extraordinary place. And to have that resonate with them always, like my memories with you always will with me, Matt Pinfield.
Yeah, I love you. I got to tell you that, Kennedy, just so you know.
Well, you're such a good guy, and I'm cheering for you. And please come back on my podcast so we can talk about people who are here and inspiring us and,
Yes.
moving forward and crushing people's dreams.